Hi there, Judith from Just You Designs here, and welcome to my YouTube channel and to my Scrappy Log Cabin Hearts block tutorial. If you love using your scraps as much as me, if you love piecing as much as me, then you're going to have a lot of love for these cute little heart blocks. There are 3 sizes that you can make, and all of the measurements and cutting instructions are included in the PDF that you get with this tutorial, the link to which is in the description below. Now, the piecing of this is very straightforward. You just need long strips ranging from either 1 inch wide for the small one, 1 1/4 inch wide for the medium one, or 1 1/2 inch wide for the large size. And the small size will make a 6 1/2 inch unfinished block, the medium size will make a 10 inch unfinished block, and the large size will get you at least up to a 14 inch square unfinished block. So lots of great applications for these, and the hardest part will then be deciding what to turn your cute blocks into. There are lots of different ways you can use your blocks into beautiful gifts for people, into quilting projects. Take your pick. I hope you really enjoy my Scrappy Log Cabin Hearts block tutorial. To make the heart block, you will have a cutting out sheet which gives you the pre-cuts for 3 sizes, the small, the medium and the large. I'm going to make the large one today. You can go ahead and pre-cut those if you want, or you can trim them as you sew. There's also a handy little chart here which tells you the order in which you need to sew each of the logs on. And then where you see the 2 little lines, that means you need to join those pieces of fabrics together first before you attach that log to the rest of the heart. So I'm working from scraps here, and I keep all my Tilda scraps in this little basket. And for the large size, all your strips need to be 1 1/2 inch wide. So I've already pulled some out and ironed them. They're all different lengths, but they're all 1 1/2 inches wide. And with all the log cabins, you start off with 2 squares. So your number 1 is your very central one. I'm going to put a red center in mine here, and then there's a wee square. Number 2 will just be another square that goes right beside it. And then I'll show you how to work around the log cabin order to create the heart shape. I'm using a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance here and a neutral coloured thread. So we want to put these 2 right sides together and sew down one edge. And I'll just iron towards the dark side there. So that's 1 and 2 attached. So number 3 is next, which is going along the bottom edge. And if I follow my cutting chart, log number 3 in the large size is 1 1/2 by 2 1/2. So you could go ahead and either cut that, or you could just work from a piece that you know is a little bit bigger, like this one, for example. Sew it on and then trim it down level with the pieces that are already joined. So sometimes that's a better way to work with your scraps, or you may have one that's the right size already, but it's maybe not the colour that you want to put there if you're working from scraps. If you're going quite scrappy and not all the one colour. But actually I think I quite like that one there, so we'll put that one on. That's the right size. And again, I'm going to press it towards the darker side. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, and number 4 is up this side. So you can tell by now we're going in a clockwise direction, and we'll be doing that in rounds. There's, I think, 1, 2, there's 3 complete rounds, and then the additions of the heart shape at the very end. So let's see if this one will fit. Yep, quite like that one there. Now, this is a good stage to start trimming. You start to see a little bit of distortion in your piecing. So now is when I would start to just tidy up and square up before I go too much further with adding on even more blocks. So just straighten up some of these edges. And get rid of that bit of excess there. So put it back into position. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 is going to go along here, and that is a 3.5 inch long piece. Let's see what colour. Pink or blue. I should maybe keep some of my longer pieces for the outer logs where we need some longer lengths, but I think I'd like a little bit of blue in it earlier on. So I'm going to go for this blue. So again, I'll use my mat to make sure that I'm keeping everything squared. So that's the end of round 1. So we've got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and now is the start of round 2. So that starts with number 6 here, and that's also 3.5. Yeah, that's also 3.5 inch piece. So now I'm going to really pay attention to colour value and making sure I don't have too much pink in the middle and no blue. Got green, might be nice to put a green there or there. What about, yeah, go that one. Now I'm ironing everything away from the centre now that we've finished with that darkest piece of fabric. But if your fabrics are of even colour value, you won't need to worry too much. You can just press them all away from the centre. Okay, so the next one's going to be along here. Write this up. No, too short. Okay, I'm going to go with, is that going to look right with the green beside it? Maybe not. So, need to keep my eye on our chart here because this is number 6, number 7, number 8, and you'll see number 9 has a little square, a little 1.5 inch square attached to the end of it, so I need to piece that to the number 9 log first before I attach it to my heart. And the coloured strip is 4.5 inches long. I have a 1.5 inch square, sorry, already cut. So I need to choose a coloured square. Let's go with that one. So you could either just sew that onto the end and sew those on and then trim, or have that already cut to size. I'm going to iron that seam towards the dark Essex linen there. Okay, so that's ready to go on there, and then that'll finish round 2. I'm going to try and match this seam to this seam here. Check that, that's not bad. So we'll iron that out. Now I'll just check that it's nice and square. So we're at nearly 5.5 there. That's pretty square. Tiny bit just there. Okay, so that completes round 2. Now to start round 3, number 10, you can see here there's a square that needs to be on the end of number 10 log first. So again, same as what we did with number 9. Number 10 log is also 4.5 inches. So we need a 4.5 inch coloured strip and a 1.5 inch background strip. This time I'm just going to sew it and trim it after I've attached it. So again, you want to try and match up those 2 joins. That's number 10. Then number 11 doesn't have any background attached to it. It's just going to go the whole way along the bottom here. Number 10, that's 11, and same again with number 12. Now, number 13 has a log and then a rectangle attached to the end of it. So we need to refer to our cutting sheet. That rectangle, background rectangle, is 1.5 by 2.5. Let me see if I've got a piece the right size. Yep, so that'll be going there. And I'll need a log that's at least 5.5 inches long to do up here. Used that one already. Use that one. So we've only got 3 left to do. We've got 13 to finish off row 3, and then 14 goes here and 15 goes here. So this is probably a good idea for me to think about the colours that I'm going to finish off with. I put that one there. I like a longer piece of that stripy one. I'll trim that down, and then I think another pink to finish up there would be good. That one. Okay, I'm going to trim this one down to 1.5 inches. That'll be 14. So 13. I'm going to sew this on first. And again, try and match up these intersections here. So that is 13, and now 14 not only has a rectangle on the end of it, looks like 2.5 inch one, it also has these little mitered corners. So we start off by doing those first. So we need the log, which is 5.5 inches long. So I'm going to trim our log to the right size. Bit for there. Now we need 2 little squares with a line drawn diagonally through the wrong side of the squares. That's 1. 2. Now, we want to put one of these on each end of our log, but you need to pay attention to the direction of the line. This is the line we're going to be sewing on. And just follow the diagram here. So this, we line this little square up with the edge of our log, and we need the angle going that way, the same as that one, so that when we sew on there, we'll flip the corner out and it will look like that, exactly like the picture. So if you sew, when you're sewing small pieces together and there isn't a lot of fabric for the feed dogs to grab hold of, start from alongside rather than start sewing at this point. The risk is that that fabric will get mashed into my needle plate there. So I'm going to sew from this, has a longer edge on it and it makes it a little bit more stable to sew. And you want to sew either bang on the line or a tiny millimeter to the left of it or the side that matches the corner that you're trying to cover. So I'm trying to cover this part, so I could sew a tiny bit to the left. But when I say a tiny bit, I mean no more than a needle's width. Like that. So I can still see my line and my stitches are just immediately to the left of it, and it just gives me enough fabric to roll over the stitches and still get enough extension back out to the corner there. So you want to trim away the excess fabric underneath, leaving 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then because this is on a bias edge, we want to press the seam open. And that's what that end looks like. And you want to do the same on the other end, and again pay attention to the direction of the line that you're going to be sewing on. These are sort of heading towards each other, so get that the same as the diagram there. Alright, so now we can put our rectangle on the end there. And that's ready to attach. This is number 14, so we're ready to attach that. So again, with a little intersection here, we'll try and join those up as best we can. Okay, so we're nearly there. Now that's number 14 on, and now all that's left is number 15. So again, number 15 has a 5.5 inch log with the 2 mitered corners and then a 3.5 inch rectangle on it first. So we need to cut some squares. Put a diagonal line on the wrong sides of each of those. And then I'm going to get my log to 5.5. So same as with number 14, just check the angle of the mitered squares on the ends. So that one will go that way and that one will go that way. So that's all our logs on following this sheet. You can put that away now. And because this heart, it will be presented on point, you can now, if you turn it into a diamond, you can now see the heart shape. But what we need to add is some more background here so that you can turn this into a block or into other projects. So for the large size, you need 2 10.5 inch squares. And we want to cut those in half diagonally. And these are going to be our setting triangles that we position all the way around the block. And you may think they're huge, but we need some length where these setting triangles overlap to give you some background fabric to work with below the bottom of the heart, as well as at the sides. So with setting triangles, you always put opposites on first. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle of this edge. I'll just fold that in half. And you can put a pin in it, or you can crease it. Got a crease there that I can see. And then you do the same on the long edge, the bias edge of the setting triangle. And this is exactly the same for all sizes of the heart. The construction's the same. So we want to put these two right sides together and match up those middle points. Pin it if you need to. And then we're going to sew all the way along here. So that's one side on there, and we want to get the opposite side on next. So we do the same thing again. And fold it in half and find the midway point. Give that a good finger press. And the same with our setting triangle. Match them up. And sew. And as before, I'm ironing all the seams away from the center of the heart. Okay, so need to do these two sides. So same again. Going to fold in half, line up those two and crease that. And this time you're sewing all the way from the edge of the triangle over the other triangle, the whole way along this length here. So it'll be going through 2 layers of fabric. So what you want to do is trim away, once you have that attached, is trim away this excess point underneath here. And then you want to do the same for the remaining edge. So there we have our heart block. It won't be in the center of this, so you will now need to trim it down, making sure that you measure from the center out whatever size block you want. You've got a good 7 inches from here to the edge, the shortest edge here of your background fabric. So you've easily got a 14-inch block here. Most standard quilt block sizes are around 12. Or you can put a bowl around it and turn it into a lovely mat. You could turn them into, you could do rectangles and turn them into placemats, something like that. You've got lots of options here, and as well as the other 2 sizes, you could have a lot of fun playing around with those too.
I hope you had fun with my tutorial. If you'd like lots more inspiration, free tutorials, patterns and classes, do check out my website. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook.